Sebahagian daripada bukti ini akan diproses dan dikemaskini untuk urusan petition pilihan raya. Sebahagiannya adalah penting untuk meyakinkan rakyat bahawa memang berlaku penipuan. So that's why we will reveal some of it through press conference. Some will go through leaflets. Some will actually go through videos that we are producing. So while the rest will go into the petition, election petition that we will begin to file the moment the official result is gazetted, which they have not gazetted the official result now. So let's go through with the first one. Kejadian kad pengenalan digunakan oleh pengundi hantu di seluruh Malaysia. Mulai hari ini, Siasat PRU 13 akan mula menampilkan bukti-bukti yang mengesahkan bahawa pilihan raya umum ke-13 dicemari dengan penipuan dan penyelewengan terancam yang berleluasa di seluruh negara. And I think that is most important because I can already imagine Barisan Nasional's leadership questioning what happens to the constituencies which we want. Once we go through all this evidence, I think it will be very clear that it is systematic and systemic all over the place. So while we may have won in some constituencies, the fact that it was widespread all over, some were in places we won, some in places we lost, to me that is more worrying because that means that it is planned, premeditated, widespread and systematic. That means that there must be some kind of big planning behind it that put into disrepute the whole credibility of the last general election. Setiap minggu, Siasat PRU 13 akan mengadakan 2 hingga ke 3 sidang media untuk membawa bukti ini kepada rakyat. So, we've started the ball rolling this week. Setiap minggu, sama ada kita ada, it's either Monday, Wednesday or Friday or Monday or Thursday, depending on the pace at every week. But I think what we have now can last up to about 1 month or so. With every 2-3 days new evidence has been adduced, dan kita akan menunggu kenyataan balas dan juga jawapan daripada pihak-pihak yang terbabit. Selain dari bukti-bukti yang kita akan tunjukkan sama ada dalam bentuk video, dalam bentuk dokumen, dalam bentuk perkara-perkara lain, dalam bentuk visual, Siasat PRU 13 juga akan membawa saksi-saksi terbabit untuk menampilkan memberi keterangan. Baik, hari ini kita bermula dengan soal pengundi hantu. Penyelewengan yang paling berleluasa adalah kehadiran pengundi hantu yang berpunca dari daftar pengundi yang tidak bersih. Perkara ini membayangkan kelemahan dan mungkin keterlibatan 2 badan yang bertanggungjawab, iaitu Suruhanjaya Pilihan Raya dan juga Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara. Dan kehadiran pengundi hantu ini membawa impak yang besar kerana ia meruntuhkan keyakinan rakyat kepada integriti keputusan PRU ke-13. And worst of all is that the moment you have phantom voters, it will discredit every part of the election result. It will discredit the majority vote because you don't know how many phantom voters exist. It will discredit the percentage of voters turn out, terutamanya di beberapa kawasan yang kita kalah secara marginal. Setakat ini analisa awal menunjukkan saluran-saluran tertentu itu kehadirannya menimbulkan prasangka. Contohnya 93 hingga 95% di kawasan Felda. Ada juga di kawasan luar bandar, desa di Sabah atau Sarawak yang sukar untuk dalam pengangkutannya tidak baik, yang sebelum ini peratusan peluang undi mungkin 60%, 70%, ada yang mencecah 90% lebih. So once you have phantom voters, then it starts to discredit all these numbers. People will start questioning why was it the voters turn out in streams or areas which BN claim traditionally is their fault, suddenly show a much higher jump compared to other places. Dia mempersoalkan pola pengundian mengikut saluran dan lain-lain. So the presence of phantom voters obviously throw the whole election into doubt. Setakat 17 Mei 2013, setakat ini, 8 orang pengundi dari seluruh negara yang kita telah tapis telah tampil dengan laporan polis yang mereka sendiri buat kerana mereka dihalang dari membuang undi apabila ada orang lain yang telah pun mengundi menggunakan nama mereka. I've gone through all the evidence so far. In fact, I've sat down with a few police officers off the record and tried to understand and to catch up what they are doing on their part and how it will jive in what we will do. The consensus is that the strongest proof of phantom voters is the fact that other people voted using some other people's IC. Ini satu perkara yang langsung tidak sepatutnya berlaku kerana ini bermakna wujud kad-kad pengenalan palsu yang dikeluarkan oleh Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara yang telah diberikan kepada individu tertentu bagi tujuan mengundi dan menjadi pengundi hantu. It's as simple as that. The moment you have one similar identity cards being used by different people, so much so that the genuine or the actual person holding the identity is denied the right to vote, that means that this is part of a bigger planning to allow for phantom voters to come in. 8 orang pengundi yang telah tampil setakat ini adalah seperti berikut. Saudara Kamaruzaman Ma'anan di P105 Sungai Petani, Saudara Makhir Syari P131 Rembau, Saudara Muhammad Razmi Khalid P096 Kuala Selangor, Saudara Minor Arisah Aku Yamin P102 Serdang, Saudari Zarifah Abdul Halim P040 Kemaman, Saudara Lee Hoi Chiang P102 Serdang, Saudari Sairah Yusof P0194, Saudara Muhammad Khairul Azayam Ali P108 Shah Alam. Dan saya sertakan laporan polis yang telah dibuat dan disertakan yang bersama. Yang the first copy yang ada hitam tu is nothing to do with symbolism of blackout. It just so happened that the quality that we got was a bit bad, you know. Tapi if you go one by one, semuanya sama, bahawa mereka yang buat laporan ini tidak membuat laporan kerana mereka diarahkan, mereka bukan orang parti. It's not premeditated or pre-planned by Pakatan Rakyat. They all did because they were so angry that they were denied the right to vote because someone else had voted. Siasat PRU 13 sekarang dalam proses untuk mendapatkan persetujuan pengundi-pengundi ini untuk membuat akuan bersumpah ataupun statutory declaration mengenai kejadian ini untuk mengukuhkan lagi bukti yang ada. Saya nak pastikan contohnya bahawa setiap saksi yang kita bawa itu, dia akan berani untuk tampil dan mempertahankan laporan polis ataupun video ataupun kenyataan yang ataupun gambar yang dia buat untuk membuktikan bahawa kali ini memang rakyat betul-betul marah. Setakat ini 8 orang yang hantar ini, mereka mengambil inisiatif mereka sendiri membuat laporan terus kepada kami. Jadi saya yakin bahawa 8 orang ini tidak ada masalah untuk membuat akuan bersumpah. Malah seorangnya, saudara, I think yang di Sungai Petani, dia terlalulah marah sehingga kan dia turut membuat laporan terus kepada Suhakam. I think laporan Suhakam ada disertakan bersama mungkin. Kalau tidak nanti I will send. So salah seorang daripada mereka ini iaitu saudara Kamuzaman Ma'anan, sebenarnya bukan saja buat laporan polis, dia terus buat laporan kepada Suhakam kerana dia tak puas hati kenapa nama dia telah digunakan oleh orang lain. But it's not abandoned here. Wujudnya kad penalan yang berlainan untuk membolehkan orang lain mengundi dengan menggunakan identiti seorang rakyat Malaysia yang sah, ini satu fenomena yang amat membimbangkan. Ia bukan saja mengesahkan kehadiran pengundi hantu di dalam PRU 13, tetapi membayangkan kegagalan Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara menjamin bahawa kad kenalan adalah tulen, selamat dan unik kepada setiap rakyat Malaysia. In fact, it has much bigger ramification than just phantom voters. What comfort do we have that our IC is now not subjected to counterfeiting, is not subjected to fraud, where people can have multiple ICs and do various things with different identities. Jadi soal ini adalah soal yang jauh lebih besar daripada pengundi hantu. Sebab itu Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara mesti menjawab. It's very clear bahawa ada sesuatu yang tidak kena dengan kad pengenalan oleh kerana kewujudan pengundi hantu di dalam daftar pengundi kita. Fakta bahawa pengundi hantu wujud kerana identiti rakyat Malaysia digunakan oleh orang yang tidak dikenali untuk mengundi tidak boleh dinafikan oleh sesiapa. Kalau SPR nak kata ini 8 orang, kalau SPR nak kata this is small, to me the fact that one incident did take place, that already marked the whole of the election process. That is already contamination of the voters' roll, and that's already bad enough. That means because kita meletakkan kepercayaan kepada sistem. Jadi sistem itu mestilah utuh, sistem itu mestilah foolproof, sistem itu mestilah bebas daripada perkara-perkara seperti ini. Kalau setakat ini sudah ada 8 orang dan saya tidak tahu berapa ramai lagi akan tampil. Malah saya rasa ramai juga yang tidak boleh mengundi tetapi tidak membuat laporan polis. Yang hantar email pada kami ada juga yang mengatakan dia tidak boleh mengundi tapi dia tidak buat laporan polis, jadi kami tidak terima. That means that it's actually quite widespread across the country. Sebab itu saya mencabar SPR dan Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara untuk mengumumkan alasan mereka supaya mereka boleh dihakimi oleh Mahkamah Rakyat. Let SPR and Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara be judged by the Court of Public Opinion, and I dare them to make as foolish a statement as they have done in explaining why the indelible ink didn't work. If they dare to do something as foolish as that, by all means, because it will just heighten the anger and resentment towards SPR and Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara, who are now seen to be the biggest culprit of whatever fraud alleged to have taken place in the last general election. Yang akhir sekali saya juga mencabar Yang Berhormat Saudara Khairi Jamaluddin yang ini sedang seronok baru dilantik ke Kabinet untuk menjawab mengenai kewujudan pengundi hantu di Parlimen Rembau yang mungkin juga menyumbang kepada kemenangan beliau. Salah seorang yang buat laporan itu, Saudara Muhammad Khairi Syahari, adalah di Parlimen Rembau. Jadi kalau Saudara Khairi mewakili suara moderate dan suara baru dalam UMNO dan dalam Kabinet, beliau tidak boleh berdiam diri dan perlulah menjawab kenapa ada pengundi hantu sehingga kan orang yang sebenar dinafikan mengundi di Parlimen beliau. Ada soalan?
Jadi adakah YB rasa selain daripada masalah pengundi hantu ni, wujud masalah teknikal di pihak SPR sendiri, seperti macam orang nama lain tapi terpotong nama lain, macam masalah teknikal lah menurut YB fikir?
Tidak. Sama ada kalau masalah teknikal, maknanya semua ahli-ahli SPR perlu letak wajatan sekarang kerana dah 13 kali buat pilihan raya. Ada masalah teknikal lagi. Dan masalah teknikal ini bukan masalah teknikal yang kecil, masalah teknikal yang membabitkan identiti dan kewujudan pengundi hantu. Dan kalau kata masalah teknikal di SPR, bagaimana pula masalah teknikal di Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara? Maksudnya, masalah-masalah ini berlaku di peringkat SPR, di Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara dan dia berlaku di seluruh negara. Jadi, takkanlah orang yang sama di Sungai Petani tersalah potong, di Kemaman pun tersalah potong, di Serdang pun tersalah potong. Dan kalau saudara bacakan laporan polis yang dibuat ini, selepas nama itu dipotong, pengundi ini pergi semak dengan 3-4 kerani, semua potong-potong-potong. Jadi dia tidak boleh masalah teknikal. Kalau masalah teknikal, kita melalui barung. Daripada barung masuk ke kerani, 3 orang kerani masuk. Maksudnya hanya di satu tempat dia salah potong, bukannya sampai 3-4 tempat dia salah potong. Jadi maksudnya setiap orang yang membuat laporan tidak dapat mengundi ini, namanya dipotong secara konsisten. Maknanya IC itu memang betul-betul wujud IC palsu yang digunakan oleh orang lain. Saya tidak mengambil pandangan bahawa ini adalah masalah teknikal. Ini adalah masalah penyelewengan yang terancang, yang sistematik dalam pilihan raya umum yang lepas. Ada soalan lain? Ya. Begitu juga kalau saudari baca dalam laporan, ada beberapa laporan yang menyatakan secara jelas bahawa mereka tidak pernah hilang IC. So, I think orang yang buat laporan ini pun sudah menjawab semua soalan-soalan atau alasan yang pernah diberikan oleh SPR sebelum ini. Jadi apabila mereka membuat laporan, mereka menyatakan bahawa ada yang menyatakan dalam laporan-laporan ini bahawa mereka tidak pernah hilang IC. Jadi bagaimana IC mereka ini boleh digunakan oleh orang lain?
Adakah PKR akan ambil tindakan saman SPR atau?
Kita sedang tengok dan kita akan tunggu kenyataan daripada SPR. Jadi tak apalah, macam biasa. Tugas saya ialah untuk membentangkan masalah-masalah ini yang menunjukkan wujud pengundi hantu, wujud kad pengenalan palsu. Kita tunggu jawapan daripada SPR dan jawapan daripada Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara, dan berdasarkan kepada tindak balas itu kita akan tentukan what will be our next course of action.
Do you believe that this is actually a systemic collaboration between JPN and also the EC?
I don't believe that the whole of JPN and the whole of SPR are involved. I don't think the ketua tempat mengundi ataupun kerani actually involved with this whole thing. They were given strict instruction. But the fact that this kind of anomaly did take place, there must be some kind of efforts within certain quarters of JPN, as well as some efforts within certain quarters of SPR that could have allowed such a fraud to have taken place. Even if SPR and JPN want to deny completely their involvement, the fact that they did not take any action and the fact that they have been in denial for quite a while and they continue to deny existence of such fraudulent ICs, that means that they did not act with full integrity to ensure that our election was going to be clean and fair. Sebab itu, I think there needs to be accountable for it. They have known about it for quite a while. In fact, sepanjang hari itu, apabila sudah ada 8-9 laporan polis, and I'm sure ketua tempat mengundi apabila tahu, sepatutnya maklumkan kepada pengarah SPR negeri bahawa there seems to be a problem where people have voted using someone else's IC. By right, we should have expected at least a statement from SPR. At least there must have been an acknowledgement that some problems did exist, that they will look further into it. But nothing. And I'm sure bila kita tunjukkan perkara ini, mereka sama ada akan katakan ini technical problem, ini perkara kecil 8 orang, ataupun they will be in complete denial of the whole thing. Which means, as I say, even if they want to claim that they have nothing to do with it, they have failed in their fiduciary and national duty to make sure that the whole process was clean, transparent and of integrity.
Jadi ada tak betul-betul kecurangan lain yang dikesan oleh siasat?
Banyak lagi, tapi kita akan sebarkan dan juga dedahkan dari minggu ke minggu.
So would it be right to say that this case is just the tip of the iceberg? You are going to reveal more?
Ya, there are a lot. Seperti yang saya sebut dalam sidang media pertama hari Isnin yang lepas, we have about 6 categories of fraud which we have been looking at, and we will reveal one by one as the weeks go by, because we need to get this information to sink in. If we were to do it everything all together, it's very easy for BN to just basically black out the whole thing. The mood now is to black out, so they can just black out the whole thing.
Previously, okay, all these parliamentary seats, what about, have you listed the state seats that appear to have?
Some of these are reported for states is together. So you take for example Rembau ini dia dihalang untuk mengundi di kedua-dua, di Dun Rantau iaitu Dun Menteri Besar Negeri Sembilan dan juga di Parlimen Rembau. So when they did this, actually it's a complaint for both Dun and Parlimen. But that's why I explained at the beginning of the press conference, while we may concentrate on the 30 or so parliamentary seats which we think that may have produced a different national election result, but we will also prove that there is a widespread and systematic and systemic fraud all over the country regardless of what are the consequences. So sebab itu saya hanya nak tunjukkan bahawa ada di kerusi yang kita menang, ada kerusi yang kita kalah. Perkara ini dibuat di semua tempat dan ini yang dilaporkan. Sudah tentu ada banyak lagi yang belum dilaporkan ataupun yang mana laporan polis telah dibuat tetapi people have not come forward to us. Maybe they are frightened, maybe they feel that it's already water under the bridge. I don't know.
Selepas akuan sumpah dibuat, apakah cadangan ataupun perkara yang nak dilakukan?
Kita akan bawa kepada rakyat because I think ultimately the judge is the public opinion. Dan pada masa yang sama, kita akan padankan dengan kes-kes yang kita rancang di mahkamah. Ada yang mungkin kita gunakan untuk kita bawa ke mahkamah. Ada yang kita gunakan sebagai bukti kepada rakyat. Yang penting mengenai akuan bersumpah ialah supaya kita dapat saksi yang betul-betul akan pertahankan kenyataannya. Saya tak mahu contohnya, hari ini dia kata macam ni, esok dia kata lain, lusa dia kata lain. So sebab itu kita akan pastikan bahawa setiap saksi yang kita hubungi itu kita akan cuba dapatkan akuan bersumpah, which means that the standard of proof is a lot higher and that complicates my work because I don't want at the end of the day for witnesses to be bored or to be coerced or to be intimidated. Whoever witnesses who want to come forward, we made it very clear that they have to be able to stand the scrutiny and they are willing to sign a statutory declaration.
Rafizi said that you will sue not just you but whoever is saying about fraud. Would you prefer that? Because then if you go to court, that would be the best place for you to bring up your evidence.
Well, it's their right to sue. That will just add to another of my 6 legal suits now, so that will be 7. But I think Celine, there is going to be a delaying tactic. I think SPR is panicking that more and more of this evidence will come out to open, and I think they know that their worst enemy is public opinion. So that's why I think the threat for legal sue is only to intimidate me, and more importantly, I think to intimidate other people from coming forward to me, because they know I have enough of legal suit and I don't think it will frighten me anymore. But it may frighten others. Once, if it's brought to court and if they seek injunction, I think they are hoping that it will delay the process of bringing the evidence to the public, which I think they will be wrong, because there are so many other people who are more than willing to come forward and to speak. So even if they take me down, and frankly speaking, all the legal suits that were brought against me so far have not stopped me from speaking, so I don't think it will matter much. But if SPR is so confident that they have done a good and thorough job, and if they feel that the whole election was free from any fraud, it was clean and fair, then why can't they just come out and refute things like this? Surely they have a good explanation to explain to the public that, whether it was a technical error, whether these people were making false claims, false report, refute it. But the fact that instead of answering to all this very detailed and specific evidence of corruption and fraud, they prefer to use intimidation by way of legal suit. I think that speaks volume of how they feel their case is when it is brought to the public opinion.
So, Rafizi, about these witnesses that you say, Sesat KRU 13 membawa these witnesses
No, I'll bring them to media, to press conference, to videos, to all the other things, so that people and you guys can actually ask them themselves.
You're going to bring these into the public eye.
Yeah. Some of these witnesses who are willing to come forward, we will bring them so that in our press conference or in our videos which we are working on, they will feature and they will explain how it took place. Because I don't want as EC and BN and Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara to continue repeating as if this is a political ploy. It is not. It is a public anger, and every single citizen who was affected by this wants to speak out. And we are hoping, it's not an easy process because of course, we have to convince them there's nothing going to happen. It's their right. They have to be brave. Some of these are government officers. So we have to go through that motion with them. But there are 2 or 3 people so far who have indicated they are more than willing to come forward.
Based on what you have so far, how much would you say these kind of cases has occurred? Would you say you have, would you like to give an estimate?
Typical. I can't. I mean, it's very difficult to just based on people who come forward and say that, okay, I can estimate so and so. It's very difficult. But I think what convinced me is that the fraud is systematic and widespread. And therefore, it can have a far-reaching effect on as many seats as we contested across the country. But I think statistically it's not right. And as well, the number of people who come forward is not representative of the whole possible fraud that had taken place. Because, of course, there's so much fear. There's also resignation that nothing much could have been done. There's also the threats and also the what if, they are government officers, the fact that they come forward, how it will affect them, how much time they will be dragged into the whole thing. So, to get everyone who had encountered fraud to come forward and therefore to give a reasonable estimate of the percentage of fraud is just not possible.
So you have these dates so far?
I mean, the ones on specific case like this where they went to vote but they couldn't, we have about 12. But 4, I think after questioning, they'd rather not come forward. So that's why we just come. We also have other type of cases which we bring from time to time. But this is the first category, and I feel that this is the most important that SPR and EC and GPN have to answer. How did you allow people who have multiple ICs and fraud ICs to vote and to be in our electoral roll? I think that's the #1 issue that needs to be answered. The rest, there are a lot of buying, buses, busload of alleged Bangladeshis being stopped. All this will come. But to me, although this may not be as sexy as others, but this is the fundamental issue from which all the other fraud or alleged cheating have taken place. It started because of the failure of SPR and JPN to make sure that only bona fide IC holder with only one name being allowed to vote. The fact that there are people with multiple ICs who can vote using other people's identity allow all kind of frauds to have taken place.
Rafizi, are you still going to bring all this evidence to persist people's tribunal? Because the EC has said this has no legal effect.
We will. You see, I'm always convinced that the public knows best, and we have always operated on the basis that it is the wisdom of the public that finally will pressure Barisan Nasional into any action whatsoever. In the past, if you expect Barisan Nasional to take their own initiative to clean up their mess, they won't. If you remember when we started out with some scandals, financial improprieties, they will continue to deny, and they will start making more and more ridiculous denials until such a point, because of public pressure, they cannot withstand it anymore and they will start to take action. And I think that is the most important bit about Persist People's Tribunal, because no matter what SPR accused of it, the fact that supposedly it doesn't have legal standing, it has much more legitimacy in the eyes of the public than EC. And therefore, the public opinion that is shaped by People's Tribunal will have severe repercussion on the credibility and legitimacy of the government as well as EC. So we will proceed with presenting as many evidence as possible to the People's Tribunal.
Rasanya ada tak bukti IC palsu wujud serta dengan pemegang kad IC palsu?
Yang ini cukup untuk membuktikan bahawa IC palsu wujud. Ini cukup. Sebab bagaimana kalau contohnya laporan polis ini diterima dan pembuat laporan ini disahkan bahawa mereka ini adalah pemegang IC yang betul, yang sah. Maknanya orang sebelum mereka yang masuk mengundi menggunakan IC yang mempunyai nama yang sama adalah pemegang IC palsu. Sebab itu saya kata ia mengesahkan bahawa IC palsu wujud. Kalau contohnya mereka kata perkara ini tidak betul, dan mereka mesti buktikan contohnya Encik Kamaruzaman bin Adnan ini tidak mempunyai IC yang sah. But one of them must have a fraud IC. One of them must not have a legal IC, a unique IC. Oleh kerana nama mereka sama, nombor kad pengenalan mereka sama, sehingga kan ada seorang yang lain boleh mengundi menggunakan nombor kad pengenalan. So, bagi saya ini adalah bukti yang sah bahawa kad pengenalan palsu wujud dalam sistem kita dan telah pun disalahgunakan untuk membawa masuk pengundian itu dalam pilihan raya umum yang lepas. Kalau SPR mahukan bukti yang lebih ataupun Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara mahukan bukti yang lebih, kita tukar tempat lah, bagi saya jadi pengurusi SPR, then I can do it. Kalau dia sikit-sikit suruh kita bagi bukti, then okay, I can. Tapi you kosongkan jawatan, bagi saya jadi pengurusi SPR, and then we will prove to you that memang kad pengenalan ini kad pengenalan palsu. Sebab we will do our job rather than sitting down and just continue to make statements denying.